Hi everyone, this is Don Stouter, and in this video tutorial I'm going to talk about how to understand histograms, and at the end we'll present a simplified layers diagram. Photoshop Elements uses these histograms in the levels command, and they are behind the scenes in understanding other edits you will do in Photoshop Elements. Also, they are found on many mid-range digital cameras so that you can check the histogram right after you've taken a picture and may help you decide whether or not to reshoot the picture to get the proper exposure that you want. Okay, this is a diagram of what the levels command presents you in the dialog. It consists of a graph there that I will call a mountain range, and the horizontal line, which extends from 0 on the extreme left-hand side to 255 on the right-hand side, is the brightness levels. Now they're the brightness levels because in this particular slide we're looking at the RGB channel, which is often called the luminosity channel, and I like to call it the composite channel. When we're looking at this channel, 0 on the left, that is in red there, it represents pure black. 255 on the extreme right is pure white. Now the vertical axis on this particular graph shows the number of pixels in each one of the brightness levels that are mapped from 0 to 255. Now each histogram has its own unique picture, or putting it more properly, each photograph has its own unique histogram. There are no two histograms that are exactly the same. By the way, up at the top where you see RGB, you can also, when you're in the actual levels diagram or the levels dialog box, you can actually click on the down arrow and you can get a histogram for the red, green, and blue channels that comprise your photograph. Now in those cases, the 0 on the left would be absolutely, for example, if we were looking at the red channel, the 0 on the left would represent no red pixels are being excited by where you're actually pointing the camera. On the extreme right is the full brightness of red that your camera chip can record. So 0 on the red channel would be on the left and represent no red pixels. 255 on the right would represent the brightest red you can record with your camera. And a similar explanation would go for the green and the blue channels as well. Now in this example we have a well exposed image. Now our eyes can certainly see that by just looking at the photograph, but take a look at the histogram. Its mountain range, if you will, the graphic itself, basically extends from all the way to the left to all the way to the right of the plot area and is well exposed. As opposed to a particular histogram where our eyes show us that it's way too dark and the histogram therefore is shoved up against the left. What that means is we have lost details in the darkest shadow areas. But there is a way within Photoshop Elements and other programs, and uniquely the levels command, to bring out the highlights, or to bring out the details in those darkest areas. But we will do that at the expense of adding noise to the image, as we shall see in other tutorials. The next image is obviously a photograph that's been overexposed, and notice that this particular histogram is shoved up towards the right-hand side of the graph area. There's absolutely no blacks, no pure black in that picture anywhere, and hardly any darker shadow areas. This is a situation that you really want to avoid. You can see that it's shoved up all the way over there to the right-hand side, 255, and absolutely no way to recover the data that's been lost there. It's called blown out, and this is definitely a shot that you would want to retake. Command? Well, our basic goal is to stretch the mountain range until it covers most of the horizontal line in each of the red, green, and blue channels. And we will be doing that by adjusting those outer triangles that you saw in the histogram in the earlier slides. Next slide is basically saying, and in a better and probably more detailed way, what I've just been describing in the previous slides. You may want to pause the video at this point so that you can study it a bit more. This video tutorial is a quick look at the layers concept within Photoshop Elements and other versions of Photoshop, as well as other photo editing programs. We'll cover this more thoroughly later. Again, you may want to pause the video as you take a look and read the various comments there. One thing to remember always when you're looking at your stack of layers that you will see build up in Photoshop Elements is that you are at the top of the layers stack looking down. If all your layers consist of pictures, you cannot see any picture below the top picture. However, layers can have a lot of other subjects that are on that particular layer, as we shall see, and is partially explained in this slide. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and ideally it kind of gets you prepared, ready to use some of the photo editing commands available to you in Photoshop Elements.